welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, great agents. It's Coach Bill Pipes coming at you again, alive, excited, and as always, full of energy. Welcome back to Real Success, where we have real agents sharing real strategies and the real success ultimately that they're having in their business. I'm really excited about today's call, but before we jump into that, I got a question for you. Have you been in action? Have you been taking some of the great strategies, some of the ideas, some of the processes that you've learned from some of the previous calls and implemented it into your business? See, because here's what I know. There are many agents out there who have the best ideas. They have all types of things that they want to do, but they're not putting it into action. And here's what I challenge you. What I challenge you for these next 30 days is to get into action, because all success occurs from you being in action. Not from getting great ideas, and you're going to get a lot of those, but from taking them and doing something with it. And you know what? I know that a lot of the strategies, some of the things that we've been talking about have been a little bit uncomfortable. I've had people calling me saying, gosh, Bill, it makes me uncomfortable to do some of the things that Dan Grieve or Tim Smith or Eileen Rivera or Tom Toole or Darren Langell or any of these great agents have recommended. And here's what I'd say to you. It's the same thing that Tom Ferry said to me when it's probably 10 years ago. He said, all great growth comes from getting outside of your comfort zone. And so what I would challenge you, again, not just to be in action, but to be in action doing things that have you feel uncomfortable. Because here's my quote for you today. If all that you do is what is comfortable for you, the best that you will ever be is average. So let's talk about uncomfortable. And boy, do we have someone here today that is going to do that for us. And a good friend of mine, someone that I respect, someone that I've grown close to. And I can't wait to introduce her to you, because today's call is about you making more money. How many of you guys are up for making more money? And I know that everyone just raised their hand. Yes. And you know, I was leading a seminar called Sales Edge in Los Angeles, and I had some good friends of mine that stood up and they shared their goal for this upcoming year, for 2015, for the year that we're in. And they said, we want to move from X number to Y number. And it was only a movement of 7 transactions. And they're doing substantial business in Dallas, Texas. And I said, well, that doesn't seem like a big growth. That doesn't seem like a lot of movement forward. And what they said to me was this. They said, Bill, for us, it isn't about doing more deals. We want to double the average sales price of the homes that we're selling. We want to earn more selling the same. And so today's guest is going to really help us. She's going to pave the way for us, give us some great strategies, some great ideas in terms of what we can do in order to be able to grow at a high level, but more importantly, how to be able to sell in a luxury market. So it's with great pleasure that I get to introduce a good friend of mine, great coaching client, and just a general kick-ass gal, Mrs. Wendy Walker. Hello, Wendy.
Hello, Bill. Thank you. My gosh, that was quite an introduction.
Well, you deserve it. So tell them a little bit about who you are, about your background, your history. How many homes did you sell last year? Let's just start there.
Last year I sold almost 40.
40 homes.
40.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Was that an up year for you?
It was an up year for me, absolutely. My average sales price was right around 1.7.
Awesome. Great. And how many homes did you sell the previous year? Do you
26.
remember?
26.
40, close to 40, 26, yeah, okay, and then jumped up the previous year, or this year, so it's fantastic. So
Thanks
when
to
you
your
work the luxury
coaching.
market, thanks to, all the great coaches at Tom Ferry that are around, you work primarily the luxury market, right? You're in.
I do. That's my focus.
Tell us a little bit about the area that you sell in. Where do you sell, and what is the average sales price inside that area?
So my primary focus is a town called Paradise Valley and also a city called Scottsdale. So
Okay.
I have recently moved primarily into Scottsdale, but my primary focus for the last 15 years has been Paradise Valley. So I'm actually starting to move a little bit with my inventory and my focus as well. So hopefully I'll be able to share some good tips for everyone.
Excellent. Well, and you know what I want to do today, Wendy, is I want to debunk some myths. Like I think there's some myths out there about selling the high end, selling luxury property. One of them being that, it takes a certain type of person to be able to do it. And my belief is anyone that makes up their mind to be able to do this could do it.
Absolutely.
Tell us about your background. I mean, because I think one of the hallucinations is we hear the names like Christoph and Jade and yours and Tim and all these big producing luxury agents, and we think that they must have come from a background that was easy for them to sell luxury property. So, what's your background?
Far from it, actually.
Okay.
So I'm from a small town in Ohio, Northeast Ohio. I moved to Phoenix about 20 years ago. I didn't know a soul. I had $300 in my pocket, and I said, I love the weather here, at least during the winter months. And I was so close to California, I figured I could visit the beach when it's really hot, which is what I do. I started my career here in sales. I quickly became the #1 sales rep. Went to get my master's degree in global management and thought I would travel the world when I was recruited into real estate by a close friend who said she thought I would be perfect for the business and asked me to partner with her. So I did that for a year and then went out on my own and quickly realized that I thought I would really like to enter the luxury market, but I had no experience in luxury, no contacts in luxury, and I decided to step back for a few years and become an assistant to a wonderful mentor of mine who had been in the business for 30 years. Now she's been in the business for 45 and since retired, but I studied under her for about 5 years and eventually started working on her team and then ended up taking over her business about 7 years ago.
So you came in, because you went to like Kent State. I mean, you're from
Ohio.
I mean, it's not like you were born in Beverly Hills or
Definitely
whatever.
not. Far from it.
You came in and said, I'm gonna be an assistant. I'm gonna figure this out a little bit. I'm gonna find out from someone that actually has already gone ahead of me and just sort of model their success. Was that a critical part to your growth process?
I think it was not only critical to the growth, but also to my success and the confidence that I have today. I'm the type of person, whenever I go into a listing appointment, I definitely want to approach it from a standpoint of confidence and from a place where I know that they need me just as much as I may or may not want to list their home, and so I can be much more selective. And I think that that's helpful and beneficial in my success, but has been really instrumental in my growth process is having someone that really I could mentor with, I could ask questions, I can learn from, and really troubleshoot things that maybe I wouldn't have had the experiences for years to come. So I call it a very quick education
Nice.
Those 5 years. Yeah.
So one of the promises that we make on every single one of these calls to our listeners is that in 30 minutes they're going to walk away with 3 ideas, 3 actions that they can take that can help them move the dial on their business in that particular area. Today obviously being our conversation in terms of breaking into luxury sales price, and it doesn't necessarily have to be luxury sales price. It can also be just increasing their own sales price, right? So they don't have to be selling $4 or $5 million homes. So tell us a little bit about. I wrote some questions down here. Is there a difference really between selling, the high end versus selling the normal market? And if so, what did you do to position yourself?
Well, I do think that there is a difference. Obviously, the fundamentals of real estate are all the same. But as far as working with the affluent, there are some specific differences that I found that I've had to overcome coming from the background that I had. One being, we're working with top-level people. We're working with executives, entrepreneurs, business managers, attorneys, financial advisors. These folks come from a place where their lifestyle and their emotion and convenience is much more the driver, and security, privacy. Those are all differences than I find in maybe a lower price range in my area would be, say, under $400,000. where, you know, they're looking for affordability and, you know, maybe schools or things like that, where these folks are really much more emotion-driven or lifestyle-driven, convenience-driven. So I do find that there is a difference. You're oftentimes working with their attorneys where in the lower price ranges, not so much. And I find that they really want to study and work with people that they feel are also tops in their field because they're tops in their field, or they feel that they are. So, you know, you really have to dissect, you know, who they are. You know, are they a doctor who's, you know, who has a big ego? Are they, you know, a entrepreneur who, you know, started a nonprofit and, you know, or something and sold it? Maybe an engineer who was in the tech field, or, you know, you just have to really find out the personalities of these folks, like we do in any real estate transaction. But the motivators I find are a lot different.
You know, and I love that. And in our conversations that we've had in the past, one of the things that you stressed was how important the knowledge base that you have is to be able to generate confidence for that person. And in fact, I think one of the things you had said is they want to feel comfortable. They want to trust that you know exactly what it is that you know, that you have that knowledge of the market. If I'm going to break into a little bit higher end price range, or if I'm going to break into the luxury, what could I do to build that confidence, you know, for myself? Because obviously, you know, I want to exude that, right, as an agent that's coming in there to be able to compete. So what could I do, or what did you do to build that confidence for yourself?
One of the main things I did was actually study the other luxury agents very closely. So I went to our luxury home tours, which a lot of people call them caravans. I look at who the top players are in different areas. I wanted to really dissect. I have a psychology and a marketing background, so psychology is very important, and I love to study it. It's interesting to me. So, you know, I studied their personalities and, you know, who is selling what and what price ranges and what areas of my small affluent area that I focus on. And then I really wanted to as well figure out how to best assess the, you know, the value of homes. So, you know, when you walk into a home, for instance, I went to a listing last week where on the phone I had already negotiated the price because I knew the property, and I had the listing paperwork ready to go at that price. And then upon entering the property and really going through it, I had to tell my client, who is a longtime client, you know what, actually, I think we should list it at $100,000 higher. Well, I know that because I know the value. And so there were some things that she had done that I hadn't, you know, I didn't realize that she had upgraded. And I said, you know what, I'm really sorry. I think I'm off. And she actually started crying and said, I trust you so much that whatever you say, if you think that's the value, she said, but of course I would love $100,000 more. And we ended up selling it for another $45,000 in less than 10 days. So, you know, they really, with those clients, they want to trust someone and they want you to be a trusted advisor. And the only way you can do that is to really study the market and know the value. And I think that once they feel that you're confident and you can talk about the house down the street that you've seen and you know the inventory, that really speaks to them.
You know, so there's three things already I've taken from this call. Number one is study the other agents. Yeah. Number one is study the other agents. Look at the people that are having success. Figure out why it is, because there's probably different things that different agents do. They have their own sort of, you know, approach. But figure out what it is that they're doing. Number two, study the market, right? That we've got to be studying the market, taking a look at that, and seeing what's going on. We got to be really have a strong knowledge base, going out on the caravans, on the tour, to be able to speak intelligently and confidently. You know, one of my old mentors, Wendy, used to say, knowledge equals confidence. So you just
really does.
Completely supported that. You know, one thing that I like that you said as well too, that I want everyone to pick up on is it's the fundamentals. You started this entire thing off and you said it's still fundamental. Sales is sales. You know, you've got to be able to read personality and be versatile, etc. So let's talk about differences, though. I wrote down marketing. From a marketing component and a marketing perspective, I mean, we see some incredible marketing pieces at the Tom Ferry organization from some of our great agents like yourself that do sell luxury. Is there a difference in marketing? And if so, what would I need to adjust myself to be able to actually to make that change and to be able to market in the luxury?
That's a great question. That was one of the myths. Whenever I teach a luxury class at the Arizona School of Real Estate, I often ask people, why do you want to sell luxury? And they say, I want to make more commission. But at the end of the day, to earn that commission, it costs a lot more money. So you really have to understand that these homes, or the expectation of marketing in these homes, is very high. It's a very high level. The design, the depth and breadth and the reach. Most of my clients in my area have second, third, and sometimes fourth homes. They travel the world. They really want to know that you can reach people globally. I know in areas like California, the Asian markets are very strong. In my area, the Canadian market's very strong. So, they really want to know that you have a way to reach these people, not just on the internet, but in other ways. Do you have the network of people and agents, and do they have your respect? And so, I often tell people, these homes can carry, you can spend $6,000 to $10,000 on these homes, from photography to magazines to my designer, my marketing coordinator. I have all these people on my staff that work for me because I want to focus on negotiating and getting more business, but their expectation on marketing is so high.
So what are the 3, 4, 5, without giving away like your trade secrets, right? I want to break into this market. I want to make sure that my marketing really speaks to this particular type of seller or particular type of buyer. What would you recommend? What adjustments or what type of marketing should I be doing, or how should I adjust my normal marketing to have it fit the more of a luxury brand?
Well, one of the things I personally did was went with my branding person, and we looked at all the top sites of luxury. So Prada, Gucci, Maseratis, all the marketing, the looks. I went to Donald Trump's website, and I thought, okay, Donald Trump, he's in real estate. I want to see what color background does he use, what kind of logo does he use, what kind of ad copy does he use, what do the fonts look like, and really I wanted to create a luxury brand that fit in with the other brands that these folks are associated with or would use or would buy. And so I think that's very important, is the look. I'm very specific myself and my team on my look. Nothing goes out unless I've seen it first. As far as actual materials or things that I send out, I do send out a very high-level farming brochure to a couple of key areas that looks very nice. It's custom. It has my logo. It has my homes on the front cover. It looks like a magazine. And then on the back, I customize the back every month with something that I think is pertinent. It could be a letter from me. It could be a market update. It could be something that's related to what's happening in our area. But it's very personalized, and nobody else has that piece that looks like mine.
Got it.
That's number one. Number two, I also send out a newsletter that, again, has the same branding look and feel, but it goes to all the agents that I have in my database as well as clients. And I find that is actually a really great tool. I get a lot of feedback. It has statistics. It has a letter from me about what's happening in the market. It has my listings on it. It has, I show listings outside of my own area so that my clients know that I have agents in Florida or Hawaii or California that I work with, so that they see that I have a referral network that works with me. So I do send out a lot of things that are branded and look the same, like just listed, just sold cards, but they all are custom, and I've customized them over the years and continue to do so.
So people know, I mean, just like seeing that double G, it's Gucci, right? Seeing the Trident, it's a Maserati, right? I mean, people see your brand and they recognize that's Wendy Walker, right? And so they've got to do that. I mean,
the WW, yep.
The WW, baby, exactly, and I love that. And didn't you buy your fonts? Didn't you
I purchased my fonts. I actually have several of them, but I purchased my W's, and then the rest of my logo is all purchased. There's actually 3 fonts that make up my logo, but it's not a font that you get on your computer. It's something that my branding person actually researched, and I went through quite a few different ones because I was so specific about that look.
I love it. So I'm noticing this whole dialogue in terms of the conversation on marketing to the luxury market is that they're used to seeing that higher end. They're used to seeing a little bit sexier, a little bit more polished, right? And so because they're used to that, if you're not aligned with that, then it's probably not going to actually speak to them. The message, no matter how good the messaging is, right? Well,
I find that when I go in, I do not cut my commission. It's just a rule of thumb. And so when I'm in a listing appointment and I'm presenting, I, number one, tailor my presentation based on the personality of the person. I've taken a listing in 15 minutes, and it's sometimes taken me 2 or 3 different times to get the listing, but I'm very selective. I tell them that I don't take every listing. I present myself in a way, and my company and my materials in a way that's very professional. And if they want to hire the other person that wants to discount and not do the things and offer what I have, that's okay. I'm not the person for them, and I'm very, very okay to walk away. But I do spend a lot of time, effort, energy, money, creativity, staff on putting all these things together. So, with that comes the expense. And so I have to recoup that somewhere, and I think I really don't have a problem with it, to be quite honest, because they normally can see the difference.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm sure that some of our listeners right now are going, oh my gosh, this sounds like spending a lot of money. Okay, image. You and I've talked about this before. How critical image is. Do you feel that dressing a certain way, presenting yourself a certain way, I mean, does that come into the decision-making process of this higher-end buyer or seller?
I think it does, but I think, again, in real estate, we sort of have to tailor our presentation to the personality. So, based on the type of person that I'm dealing with, some of them, their financial advisors make their decisions. I have 2 athletes now that I've never met, and I work with a financial advisor. So when I'm dealing with a financial advisor, it's all numbers driven because that's all the financial advisor cares about. If I'm dealing with, someone who's been in their home, it's old money, they've raised their kids there for years, but yet they just want to downsize and get out of 20,000 square feet to 5,000 square feet, that's a different presentation. And so, yes, I do think it's different in luxury. They are looking for someone who's polished. They are, but you do have to tailor. Some of those folks aren't as pretentious as others.
Love it. Yeah, I love one of the things that you and I were having a conversation, I think it was last week, about this, and I said, you had just broken into the luxury market. You go, I didn't have that much money to spend on clothes, right? And you, can I share with them what you told me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell them what you did.
Well,
yeah, you tell
them. I didn't have that much money to spend on clothes, and so I did 2 things. Number one, I traded with other people, but I went to resale shops that were in the area that I work in, and a lot of those ladies have beautiful clothes, but they never wear them. So that's still one of my little secrets that I have is I have beautiful clothes, but I don't spend a whole lot of money on them.
That's fantastic. That is great. So even if someone doesn't have a lot of money, they can still break into this market. I just want to stress that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. How do you generate? I mean, you're a lead generator. You still prospect. Can you talk to us a little bit about how to generate leads? What is your best source of lead generation now, and when you were first starting? Let's start with what it is now, and then we can hop over and then when you first started, how did you generate leads?
Well, now I do. I follow the Ferry program where I do my farming. I work my sphere of influence because now my sphere is much larger. I obviously network with other agents, especially the top agents that we work very similarly. We have a lot of reciprocity here with California, so I have a lot of close relationships with California agents. In fact, I got 2 referrals from California agents today. So I use a lot of different marketing strategies now Of course, advertising works, referrals. Most of my business is referral-based at this point, which I'm fortunate to say. But when I started in the market, luxury market, I didn't have that. And so even though I was working under tutelage and mentorship of another agent, it was very important that I, be seen at certain events, charity events or local events that were going on. We co-sponsored things. The country clubs, I frequent the clubs that are in my area very often, even if it's just to have lunch there. So just to be out and about in the community, it's important for those people, to see you, especially at the events where a lot of my competitors would be as well. So I do think if you're wanting to break into the market, the luxury market, number one is to really focus on some of those events. They're not all super expensive to attend, but to be seen at them is important. Number two would be sitting open houses in the area that you're really focusing on. I think it's important. A lot of times I see new agents, they're so excited to have $1 million plus listing that they really don't understand exactly what they have. They don't understand the area. They don't understand the value. And so they just start doing all these things. And what you need to really do is take a step back and understand what's happening in that neighborhood. Know the names of the people on the street that are around that house. People are looking for that. They ask all the time, oh, did you know so-and-so? Do you know this? If you don't, how you learn those is by sitting open houses and meeting the neighbors. So use the Tom Ferry mega open house idea, but do an exclusive event for the neighbors beforehand so that you get to meet the neighbors. So when the next neighbor comes in, you can say, this neighbor was just there, and they feel like you're the market expert, rather than you having to actually have known them for years. They don't need to know that. So there's ways around that that you can really, but I think it's important if you really focus on one specific area first, and then you can start moving outside of that area. And that's advice I've given to a lot of clients I know you've referred to me to talk with, is don't try and take the whole market at once. Start small, become the expert in that community, and then start to branch out, because that will eventually happen when people are coming through open houses, or you have those types of exclusive, luxury people like exclusive events.
I love it. So right now your business, agent, you get a lot of referral business, both agent to agent referral, also from your database. You still prospect though. You're doing, you're on the phone talking to them, to your sphere of influence. But if I'm brand new, get to the events. Find social functions. I call it social farming, right? Do social farming where you're out and about and you're seen, because those, I think you've said in the past, those individuals that you're going to, that higher end buyer or seller, they like people that are also in sort of that network a little bit, right? They like to see you. And then I love this, open houses, the whole concept of open houses, being able to do that and do the mega open where you get to connect with the neighbors. I know a lot of people may be sitting there and thinking, gosh, I've got a little fear. I got a little anxiety. It's one thing if I'm talking to, and not that it's right, wrong, or indifferent. God, it's one thing to talk to someone that's a $250,000 homeowner, but it's another thing to talk to someone who is, I think you're talking about athletes, CEOs, like high-powered individuals. How did you personally overcome that fear, and did you ever have it to begin with?
I did have it, but as I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, is how I get to a place of confidence is by feeling that I can bring value and I'm knowledgeable and they need me. And so I really studied and I spent a lot of time. I went around to open houses. I went to all the caravan tours. I talked to the agents. I spent a lot of time really educating myself on the market, this very small market that I wanted to work, and it took a while. It's the streets, the houses, the neighborhoods, how they're different. When you're showing houses, people want to know the difference. They want to know about the schools. They want to know about, they do that, but in the luxury market, really, they want you to do that very succinctly, and they want you to have the knowledge to do it quickly, because they don't have a lot of time. They like confidentiality, quickness, privacy, security, convenience. They're emotional people. They don't need to be schlepped around. I don't ever show more than 10 houses generally. because I can narrow down exactly what they want, or at least be able to tell them what community they would want to be in, and generally they are.
Brilliant. So they need to have information delivered fast. It needs to be succinct. It needs to be delivered confidently, and it needs, because they're quick and onto some,
Onto something
men
else.
and women are all onto something else. They don't have the time. Okay. So just build that confidence again. Just go, the studying and build the confidence so that you can overcome that fear. You and I, you've been through a lot. I mean, it's been exciting to watch. I mean, it really has. Inspiring. So, I always ask this question, and I'm going to ask it to you too. How important is mindset in this game of your success, and what do you do to be able to maintain your mindset and be able to be a great mother, great wife, amazing agent, incredible leader, give back to the community? With all the highs and lows, what do you do to maintain your mindset?
Besides crying to you every week? Well, I think the mindset, and I think it was even Tim Smith that said this on his video, the mindset's everything. There was I think over the summer, I was tired. Our season was in a lull, and I just stopped prospecting. I wasn't listening to the right music. I wasn't reading the books like I generally do. I was just completely out of sorts, but I sort of gave myself that latitude because I thought I'd worked so hard at the first 6 months, which is our high season, and really it hurt me tremendously in this last part, the second half of last year. It really did, and I felt it, and we talked about it. Is once you get back on track and you have that energy, I love negotiating. I love working with people. I listen to music. I'm reading books. I love Audible. I listen to a book on tape about once a week, and it just really is energizing. And being around other agents and really networking around those folks. I actually flew to Beverly Hills last year to meet with an agent because I just told her I was in a lull, I was in a funk, I wasn't, was thinking maybe there's more to life than this and all these things, and she said, Wendy, my gosh, what are we going to do with yourself? You love to negotiate, you make money, you work with these amazing people, and I thought, gosh, actually she's right. What would I do with myself? So, you just have to really have that support around you. Coaching obviously has helped my business tremendously. From a leadership standpoint, I really had to, work on my leadership skills and read books and talk to people. And, I'm very fortunate that I have a wonderful database of people that are highly successful and really willing to share, because once they get to know you, the circle of the affluent sometimes is very small, and people that they trust and that they really confide in. And so, once you've established that relationship, they become friends. And fortunately, I've been able to have many of them as mentors, even if they didn't know it.
I love it. Awesome. Yeah, so there's so much. There's way more than 3 things inside of this. But and for me, number 1 is knowledge. Build the knowledge. Build the knowledge so that they have the confidence. Number 2 is they've got to update their marketing. They've got to really look at their brand and without spending a lot of money, upgrade the brand a little bit, right? Number 3, prospecting is prospecting. I mean, the way that you're generating business is very similar to the way that other individuals are. It's just a matter of maybe it's more social farming, more events and things along those lines. And it's all, and again, mindset. Like you're listening to Audible, you're reading books, you're exposing yourself to other great agents and you guys are sharing ideas. So there's so much. So leaving this call, if I were to do one thing from today's interview, if I was to take one thing away, what would you recommend that first action that I take be if I wanted to actually increase my price point or break into luxury market?
Well, number 1, you have to really decide that you want to do it and that you have the ability and the time and the effort and the energy to invest in it. That's number 1. Don't just dabble in it. If you're going to dabble in it, you may as well co-list with somebody, which isn't a bad idea. I tell agents that, again, I don't take every listing, but I do tell agents, I'm happy to help them. If they want to bring something to me, and I'll look at them, I'll help them, even if I don't take it. at least, it's an opportunity for you to go on a listing presentation with an agent who does this all the time. And so it gives you just an idea of what you might have to do. And so if you have to give up a little on the commission, big deal. That's a huge learning lesson. And maybe you find that it's not for you. But if you find it is for you, then, then you've got to invest the time. And you really have to decide that you're really going to push towards raising that price point, or you're really going to push towards that market. And how do you do that? How do you best do that in the area that you are in? Is it by being at events or country clubs, or is there something else in that community that's a driver? Do you want to live in that community? I lived in one of the communities for a while, just to have the sphere of influence and know those people. So, I would say number one, decide, and then number two, really educate yourself, so that when you do get that appointment, you're very confident, and you're not scratching to get it. You're really presenting something that they need, that they really need you, and that you have the ability to handle that listing properly.
Brilliant. Properly, yes. The word that came up so much, confidence, 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 just across the board. And you exude that for sure. Well, I know, I got 4 pages worth of notes. I'm sitting here in this little hotel in San Antonio writing on the embassy suite note thing, but can't wait to go back and review this. And I know that all the viewers just want to send out a big thanks to you. So how do they get a hold of you? If they do want to send referrals, or they have, want to connect with you, how do they do that?
Well, look, I'm always available to and happy, willing to answer questions and take phone calls as I can. But you can reach me either through my office, which is 602-717-5071, or 602-468-8888, or email, which is Wendy with a Y at www.fineproperties.com.
Awesome. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule more than once to be able to do this. I'm super grateful, very appreciative. And for everyone that is listening, here's my question. What are you going to do next? What is going to be the action that you take to take this from great ideas to actually happy clients and money in your pocket? Because that's what the game is all about. So until I get a chance to speak to you next month, thank you again, Miss Wendy Walker. Thank you to all of our listeners that have listened to this. And until we speak, hey, keep your mind focused on the future, keep your actions right here in the present, and keep on moving forward. Make your life epic. Look forward to talking to you guys soon. Have a great month. Bye-bye.